Now, a South Korean delegation is due to brief NATO today about the deployment of North Korean troops to Russia. The Pentagon has reported around 3,000 North Korean soldiers are now present in Russia and warned of their potential use on the battlefield against Ukraine. Ukraine's intelligence agency says North Korean fighters have already arrived in the combat zone near the border.
This was the first video that emerged as evidence of the presence of North Korean troops in Russia. It appears to show soldiers receiving uniforms and equipment at a military base in the far east of the country. According to the US, at least 3,000 troops were moved into Russia in mid-October, traveling by ship from the Wonsan area to Vladivostok and then onward to multiple training sites in eastern Russia. The West fears they will join the fight against Ukraine.
If that would be the case, if they would be sending troops to Ukraine, that would mark a significant escalation. That would really be important, a significant escalation.
The soldiers deployed to Russia are elite forces rather than conventional troops, military analyst Marina Miron tells DW.
We're talking about North Korean special forces, and they are the best trained amongst the Korean military. And North Korea has some 200,000 of those. So it's just a fraction of what North Korea could potentially send to Russia. And these forces could liberate the Russians in the rear.
According to Ukraine's intelligence agency, the first North Korean troops already arrived in the Russian Kursk region, partly held by Ukraine since August. Russian President Vladimir Putin doesn't seem to see the need to deny their presence anymore. When asked about satellite images apparently showing North Korean troop movements, Putin said,
"Images are a serious thing. If there are images, then they reflect something."
In June, Russia and North Korea signed a landmark defense pact and pledged to immediately provide military assistance if either is attacked. Analysts say in exchange for military support, Moscow could share sophisticated weapons technologies with Pyongyang to help improve its ballistic missile capabilities. In addition, the North Korean forces would gain battlefield experience. But could the North Korean troops make a huge difference on the battlefield? Experts have told us it depends on how they are deployed. They need to be trained on Russian equipment. And there is also a language barrier. But the move sets a precedent demonstrating Russia's broader strategic pivot towards building an anti-Western coalition, a challenge to Ukraine's Western partners. But is there anything NATO can do about it?
NATO doesn't have a specific strategy on how to deal with Russia. Now we have North Korea joining in, making this situation for NATO even more complex in strategic terms. And this will be something for Mark Rutte to resolve and for the members.
There are no simple answers, Marina Miron says, but NATO and its members will need to react. The involvement of North Korean soldiers in Russia's war in Ukraine could transform the war into a global conflict.
For more, we can speak to journalist Fabian Kretschmer, who joins us from the South Korean capital, Seoul. Good to see you, Fabian. So if indeed North Korean soldiers are being trained by Russia and are gaining experience on the battlefield, what could that mean for South Korea?
Well, that really changes the dynamics. So basically, there are two dimensions to this question. North Korean soldiers, they are getting experience in a real-life war scenario. I mean, that could be precious when it comes to a conflict between South and North Korea. But then also North Korean weapon systems get tested on the ground in a war. So basically, all the data, all the learning experience that the missile systems of North Korea can acquire in Russia or in Ukraine, that will help upgrade their missile systems. And then there's also another aspect to it that refers to the military technology that Russia could supply towards North Korea, and then just the amount of money that North Korea can generate by sending ammunition and also sending out troops. Just today there was a publication published by the political Friedrich Naumann Foundation and they said they estimated that all the ammunition that North Korea has delivered to Russia since the beginning of the full-scale invasion has basically amounted to between 1.7 billion to possibly even 5 billion. That's really a lot of money. So just to comparison, the North Korean GDP is estimated to be 23 billion US dollars. So that's really a huge upgrade for the North Korean economy.
And just how concerned are people in South Korea to all of these developments, and how would the country want NATO to respond?
Well, there are really many dimensions to this question. The country itself, or the population, is divided actually. So on the left you have people who are very cautious. They want to not send observers to Ukraine. They basically don't want to get involved into a conflict because they are afraid that this could have further, escalation dynamic, that, for example, North Korea and Russia would even cooperate closer if South Korea gets involved. And then there's the conservative side, and also the governing party here is conservative. They are really rather pushing it forward. They want to also consider sending weapons to Ukraine. They want to extend also the cooperation with NATO, and also want NATO especially to be aware that the conflict in Ukraine has massive implications here for East Asia. And they also want especially the US government to not forget about this possible conflict here in the Korean Peninsula, because we know that there are many wars in the Middle East. There's the fear that the conflict over Taiwan might escalate. So many conflicts in the world that consume a lot of attention of NATO and the US government. So Korea is really afraid that it might be forgotten.
And now, Fabian, just quickly, how much of a difference could the North Korean troops even make on the battlefield in Ukraine?
Yeah, that really depends on how many will be deployed and where will they be stationed. But even, let's say, they are not in active duty, but, for example, defend the border regions of the occupied Russian territories. Even then, every single North Korean soldier could free the resources of a Russian soldier who could then be deployed on the battlefield in Ukraine. So those are open questions, but I think we can already assume that they will definitely have a prolonging effect. So they will prolong the war, and of course will work into the favor of Russia, but I don't think they will really be decisive when it comes to victory or defeat for Russia. But yes, it's a dangerous development, and we also have some information that the North Korean soldiers that are deployed actually come from the 11th Corps. That's basically special troops, and at least comparative to the average soldier of North Korea, they are very well trained, and they also are of better physique and of better stature.
That was journalist Fabian Kretschmer in the South Korean capital, Seoul. Fabian, many thanks for your reporting. We appreciate it.